Uh, Welcome to Frank's School. Going on with my commentary, my gloss on Alan Herrera's work, The Kings and Queens of England. I ask you now to start episode 4 and go up to the 18th minute, 22nd second. And during this time, he'll be covering James I and Charles I. James I became king in 1603, and Charles I was beheaded in 1649. That would be his son. Um, Now, background, stuff that had been going on. Alan Herrera is dealing with the kings and queens of England. He's sticking pretty much to that. But all this stuff, this other history to be known or researched is there. 1492 is an extremely important date to Americans. I'm not sure he even mentioned the year. It certainly is very important. That's when Columbus discovered America, thinking he discovered the Far East. That's also the year that the Jews were expelled out of Spain and Portugal. I had said that's one of those stories in the background that I'm following as well. What happened to the Jews and where did they go? At that time, I think a lot of them went to Constantinople, Istanbul would call it now. Another thing that had happened, so here's the whole discovery that there's a new world out there. By 1565, you see that's 50 years earlier, this would be, I think Queen Elizabeth was on the throne then. St. Augustine in Florida was established as the first European settlement in Europe. So this stuff was going on. John Calvin, well, and the 30 Years' War. Well, boy, that's something I want to research that, and I want to know much more about the 30 Years' War. You hear about the 100 Years' War, the 7 Years' War, the 30 Years' War. Well, this was something else. It ripped Europe apart, especially Northern Europe, Germany. It was really unbelievable. If you research it and look at some of those figures, it's just astounding, but it didn't have so much a direct effect on the United States. And even England. England had problems of its own at the same time that I think many people in America don't know much about it or appreciate much about it. I'm especially interested in how it pertains to centralization and decentralization in Northern Europe, especially Germany. Maybe you'll hear more about that later. I will see. But anyway, it was over religion at first, and then it became over who was going to control Europe, the Habsburgs versus the Holy Roman Emperor, I guess. But in any case, when it started with religion, it was the Catholic Church, Lutherans, and then a third one, Calvinists, John Calvin. And John Knox was part of this. And the way it affected England, really, was through John Calvin and this idea of Puritans. I have the word titration there, because here in the United States, especially right here in this county where I live, I think of titration as measuring how far does something go until it disappears. And in this county, there are so many vestiges of this stuff that happened in Europe. You go into the center of a town, Bedford, for example, and you've got what they call the mainline churches, the Presbyterians, the Episcopalians, the Lutherans, the Methodists, the Roman Catholic Church. They're all represented there. But there's so many others, the Baptists, the Brethrens, and the Mennonites, and the Amish, to the extent that the Amish can be regarded as a religion. And all these independent churches affected by this. When I used to teach this, I used to tell students, you've probably never heard of the English Civil War. You say Civil War, and you think the United States. But in many ways, the English Civil War had a more profound effect on modern day Americans than the American Civil War did, because it changed the very thinking. These Puritans there's a legacy here in the United States that is puritanical. Uh, well, I can't be too eloquent about that right now, but anyway, Major, if you wanted to pursue that and try to sort it out, good luck. But in any case, what I'd started to say was here you can see all these vestiges, which in a way are gone, I think, in Europe. Things changed, they went on, but they kind of drifted ashore here and stayed. Well, the English Civil War, well, gunpowder plot, Guy Fawkes, he explains about it. I just thought I'd write it out for you. Uh, Tobacco, I had no idea that he went on that campaign against tobacco. I had no idea that. So I learned that. Also was surprised that Alan Herrera, I don't think he mentioned the King James Version of the Bible. King James, that's this guy. I think it has been the world's all-time best-selling book, the King James Version of the Bible. Rubens is mentioned, I think I spelled that right, as one of the painter that did that ceiling, and I had said about the Dutch school, he'd be an example of that. Okay, well, the English Civil War just ripped England apart. It also was devastating to England, staggering the casualties. He gives the figures. You know, it's like the English equivalent of what was going on in Northern Europe and Central Europe as well, especially Northern Europe. It has to be researched, I really think, on its own. The Rump Parliament, I just write it out so you see what it is. And then he refers to common law. Common law, I guess I did not realize how unique that was to England. Common law. Here in the United States, if a man and a woman live together for 7 years, they're married by common law. That's common law marriage. I had not thought about the fact that that was not true other places. I don't know. Well, happily, I can let Alan Herrera do the explaining, and I'm just making a commentary. I put a 3 here because I think the English Civil War is really divided into 3 separate wars, I think. All right, well.